Howdy, everybody. This is Leo Cloutier with Malice to It. And it's indeed a pleasure to have as our guest here today the most valuable player in the National League last year and the player of the year. Had a tremendous season. I'd like to welcome to our show with the St. Louis Cardinals, Joe Torre. Welcome, Joe.
Well, Leo, it's always nice talking to my good luck charm, and I just hope it works out the same this year.
Golly, I'll never forget last year. I talked to you in the morning at this time, and you went on and hit 3 home runs. There aren't too many days like that.
No, it's not going to be today either because I'm not going to play. So, but it was a pleasure last year to not only to talk to you, but to have the year I had. And as I say, I hope you bring me the same kind of fortune, except maybe bring the club a little more fortune than we had last year.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll do my share, Joe, I'm sure. Joe, this is the heels of a tremendous season. In 1971, you batted .363. You led the league in hits. You led the majors in hits. You led the league in runs batted in, total bases. You had a tremendous campaign.
Well, Leo, I'll tell you, it's one of those years that you really dream about, but you figure that's as close as you're going to get is dreaming about it. And I don't know, you have to be lucky. You've got to have guys around you to hit 300. I had 3 of them, and Alou and Brock and Simmons, they all hit 300 around me. So, it makes it a little easier for me and a little tougher for the opposing pitchers to pitch around me. And I don't know, I just feel the AstroTurf has added an awful lot, and of course you got to stay healthy. So a few things put together, and it worked out just fine. I'm not looking to try to top it or better or do as well this year. I'm just hoping to knock in my share of runs, which is why I bat 4th.
Joe, there are 400 other Major League ball players in the Major Leagues. There were in 71, and they all had the advantage of the AstroTurf, yet nobody batted 363. 363 right-handed and 362, or rather against right-handed pitchers, and 362 against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah, it was consistent. I had really had the concentration all year, which really helped me. I sort of wrapped myself up in a game. My wife hardly knew me because I was baseball 24 hours a day, and I'd start getting myself geared for the night's contest about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was a full-time job, and you really couldn't let down. Like a lot of times when you're younger, or even just a short time back, like a couple of years ago, you get a couple of hits and you sort of relax a little bit, and you feel you've done your work. But last year I was just, I guess you call it selfish and hungry. I just, every time up, I wanted to hit, and I worked at it and concentrated, and I just hope I can really retain that concentration this year, because after the year is over, it's all worth it.
Joe, you were hungry not because you were on a diet. You were just hungry because you wanted a tremendous year, right? Although you did lose quite a few pounds, didn't you?
Well, I lost it actually, it's 2 years ago, March, and I lost most of the weight in 70, and I lost just another 5 pounds in 71. I'm about the same as I was last year right now, which is what I'm real happy about. All the banquets, you know how busy I was. Not only that great one you had in Manchester, but a lot of other places around the country. And it's a little tough when you're on that kind of a schedule to keep your weight down. But I managed to work at it. That was probably harder to do for me than to come out here and hit 363.
Joe, you also hit 24 home runs, and for a fellow who hit 24 home runs, you only struck out 70 times. Apparently, you were not always swinging for the fences?
I don't ever swing for the fences if I can help it, Leo. In a ballpark we play in St. Louis, it's not a home run hitter's ballpark like I had in Atlanta. And I just go out there and I try to hit line drives, and the home runs pretty much take care of themselves. I know when I do try to hit home runs, I'm not near as good a hitter as I am when I just go out there and try to make contact.
Joe, to what do you attribute this sudden surge in hitting? Not only the fact that you probably were in better physical condition and did not carry as much weight as usual, but do you think that the transformation of yourself into a third baseman rather than a catcher had anything to do with it at all?
I think I had an awful lot to do with it, Leo. It's just getting away from catching. You don't realize it until you do it, how much concentration catching takes, and how much it takes away from your concentration at the plate. Because if you try to concentrate both defense and offense equally as hard, you're going to really burn yourself out by July. And just standing around at third base and not having those problems of who the opposing hitters are and who they got to pinch hit, and if your pitcher has his good slider or his good fastball, and close game in the 9th inning, how we're going to start Mays off, for an example. Those things, as I say, you don't realize you don't have that problem until you alleviate it.
So true. Joey, among the categories in which you starred, you got 230 hits. You are the 5th player in 40 years to ever achieve that number of hits. You led the league in 4 different departments. You are the only player in 25 years since Stan Musial did it in 1948. Those are tremendous categories to have achieved, in which to have starred.
I tell you, Leo, 5 years ago, if you'd have told me I'd have done that, and made the money I've been making the last couple of years, I'd have to think you were crazy, because since I come over to St. Louis, it's just been a tremendous, I feel like reincarnation for me. I just feel like I'm brand new and starting all over again, and I feel younger than I do. I feel younger than I did 5-6 years ago. I can't give any reason for it except that it's a great feeling, and to walk out in the field after we traded Richie Allen after the 1970 season, everybody said there's going to be a lot of pressure on you because you're the only guy supposedly supposed to knock in runs on the club with Richie gone. And I don't look at it as pressure. I look at it as responsibility. And as long as I can retain that kind of knowledge and feeling, I think we're going to be all right, because I like being the one that they look for to do it, and I just hope I don't let them down.
You're so dedicated and devoted, and that's why you play in that fashion. Joey, you just signed a tremendous contract for a reported $280,000, $130 for this year, to $150 for next year. Those are pretty fancy figures.
Well, if I can stay healthy to collect it now, Leo, that's the trick, because it's a year-to-year basis. Even though it's a 2-year contract, you still got to be able to play next year to get it. And yeah, it is I didn't really want a 2-year contract. I think get that straight, because a lot of people, when they see I turn down $280,000, they figure, look at this guy, he's a real pig. But it's just a matter of we're talking about 2 years and 1 year, and I wasn't real sure I wanted a 2-year contract, and it took some thinking, and that's what took us all the time to get together, and I finally agreed to the 2-year contract. So we're all happy, a big happy family, and I just hope I can end my career right here in St. Louis.
And I know if there's a Joe Torre, he'll want to bat not 363 but 364 or better this coming year. Incidentally, all that 363 average which you compile, I imagine a great deal of that too, we haven't mentioned it this time, was attributable to the fact that you were swinging an Adirondack bat manufactured by your brother.
That's right. My brother's, what do I say, I'm Batman and he's the bat maker. You know, he kept me stocked pretty well with the Adirondacks this year, and I worked with him all winter. When I wasn't traveling around the banquets, I did some sporting goods shows with the Adirondack people, and it worked out fine. He's finally bragged that I'm his brother, and I just hope I can hit 300 again so he can keep bragging.
That's a good combination, the Batman and the Batmaker. Joey, one more question. You certainly covered, you mentioned 35,000 miles in the banquets. I saw your map, the itinerary of your tour during the winter time, and of course I was glad to see that Manchester, New Hampshire was on there.
Oh yeah, well I can't forget Manchester. It's pretty tough to forget an affair such as that. And I hope if I come back up there, we can find some other food to name me after. Of course, Leo, that fruit cup did raise a few eyebrows.
I remember your comment about it 2 months before the microphone. Joey, I noticed that in your itinerary and the listing of the mileage that you covered during the season, you had 35,000 for a total. I want to add a few more miles, because whoever made out that chart only had Manchester 150 miles from Fort Lee, and it's really 300.
Is that right? Well, whoever looked into that, that's the one I tried to look in that OAG on the plane, and they didn't have that, so I'll mention it to him. It was Neil Russo who wrote for the Sporting News, but for those few miles here and there, we're not going to count it.
However, if I paid you on 150 miles for transportation, let's leave it that way.
That's right.
Joey, I certainly want to thank you very much for this interview, and I want to wish you another tremendous season. If I am your good luck charm, I'm going to stay close to you so that you will have one.
Well, you won't be able to get away from me if we compete this year. Don't worry about it.
Thank you very much, Joe. This was an interview with Joe Torre, the National League Most Valuable Player and the Player of the Year in baseball, 1971. Until tomorrow at the same time, this is Leo Cloutier with Malice to None. Good day. Very much, Joe. Good luck. Have that big year, kid. Thanks a million.
Brought to you by PosterFix. At PosterFix, we bring your vintage posters back to life. To learn more about Leo Cloutier's sports world, visit leocloutier.com.